thank you for coming. And again, it's a great opportunity to celebrate a success. And on this project, it's not an ADOT success, it's not a contractor success, it's an Arizona success that we could come together, find a way to respond to an event very quickly, get a contract out, and open that roadway for the people who use it as quick as possible. I do want to recognize some folks that are here from the FHWA, Carla Petty, and her team, Tom Dietering, and I saw Adrian's here as well. Or Ammon's here. My director, my boss, John Halakowski. Jesse, come on. Okay. From the district is led by Audra Merrick, the North Central District engineer, and her team. I'm assuming when you talk, you can introduce everybody on your team at that point. And so, welcome. You know, in this area, Audra became district engineer, and she has had one adventure after another. We've had fires, we've had floods, we've had landslides, and then just about a year ago, I looked it up, it was August 9th, we had this event. And just like the landslide, ADOT could not go out and respond on our own. We needed partners. One of the partners that is not here, but they did send their thanks, is the Navajo Nation. They were a big partner for getting permits quick, and we showed that when we work together, we can get things done. We mobilized troops immediately. We started talking to other government agencies as soon as possible. It took a contractor to come in and help us get it all done. You know, I would love to have the equipment to move, and you'll see these boulders, but we don't have those kind of toys. Jesse would get them stuck. But we are here to recognize this team that worked on the 89A House Rock flood repair, and the method of contracting that made it possible with the job order contracting. In this celebration, the Harry H. Mellon Award of Excellence. It's a tribute, you know, it's a good tribute for what this team did, and we thank the Gordian Group for being here and helping us celebrate and this award. Job order contracting, it's a way to have creative solutions. Here at ADOT, we've looked for more ways to be innovative. We can't always do it the same way we used to. This is a great opportunity. It gets quality workmanship. Gives us a way to do that. It gets contracts that adhere to state and federal requirements. And, you know, us and Federal Highways, sometimes we're slow to the table. We're cautious by nature. We answer to the taxpayers. But when we see things, we embrace them. We were cautious with design build. We were cautious with CM at risk. And we're cautious with job order contracting. But as we learn how they work, we will move forward and we will make them a part of the way we do things. And the big thing, it's cost effective and we can use a labor force to get work done. So with that, I'd like to introduce the CEO of the Gordian Group, Bill Pollak, and he's going to have a few words for us. Bill, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's just wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to be with you to celebrate excellence. And that's really what this is about. The Harry H. Mellon Award has been around since 2008, and it's been used every year to recognize the job order contracting project that, in the opinion of the judges, which I'll talk about in a second, was really the best example of the great work that can be done with this particular procurement and construction method. It was started by Harry Mellon. He was the chairman of the board of the Gordian Group, the founder of the Gordian Group. And he founded it in the early 80s when he was a lieutenant colonel in the Army Corps of Engineers. He was responsible for all the NATO bases in Europe, based in Brussels. And he got frustrated. He got frustrated because every time he wanted to go do a relatively simple job, paving a parking lot, fixing lights, redoing a fairly straightforward room. Every time he had to do that, he had to develop an RFP. He had to publicize the RFP. He had to run some sort of pre-bid meeting. He had to wait for the bids to come in and then assess them. And then it was this long process. And he said, and often he said under NATO rules, it would take 6 to 9 months. And to do something as simple as moving a plug from that wall to that wall. And it made him crazy. He said, we don't need this. We don't need all this rigmarole. And we can come up with a way to adhere to all of the procurement regulations then in force at both the Army and NATO, and get our work done faster. And so he developed job order contracting, as I say, in the early 80s, and implemented it very successfully for the NATO bases in Europe. He then came back to the United States. He testified in front of Congress about what was then known as the Mellon Plan. And the U.S. Army adopted it in 1985. Some years later, the Navy and the Air Force followed suit, and all continued to do job order contracting. He retired from the Army, late 80s. Briefly worked as a consultant. He didn't like it. And he then, in 1990, started the Gordian Group in his basement. And his objective was basically to bring this process that he had figured out for the military, to bring it to other public institutions that he thought would benefit because they were governed by state and local procurement regulations. They all had the same problems. It was taking them 9 months from start to finish to get relatively simple jobs done. And he said, there's just got to be a better way. I think my way from the Army will work. And so he spent a lot of time, as entrepreneurs do, selling his idea. His first client was the Miami Public Schools. Second client, the New York City Public Schools. Both remain clients of ours. So it's been a long relationship. And then proceeded to build the company, develop the company. Today, we're a company of about 425 people, 435 people. All over the country. We're also beginning to do some business in Canada, bringing job order contracting primarily to public institutions. We actually have a few private institutions that use the process because they find that it is a very effective tool in the toolkit. It is a way to get work done quickly, work that doesn't need lots of architectural plans, work that doesn't need the long process that you get in whether it's design, build, or some other process, which is a perfectly legitimate tool for the right kind of project. Job order contracting is the right tool for many projects, we find, and our clients find. He was also motivated very heavily by the fact that he thought he could save taxpayers money, because that's who most of us work for, one way or the other. And so he felt this was a cost-effective way, not just a fast way to get work done, but a cost-effective way to get it done. And the studies that have been done show that not only is time saved, but also money. Although most of what we do is still job order contracting, still working. A couple of years ago, we bought a company called RS Means. Some of you who are engineers may have an RS Means cost book on your shelf or have seen them. So we've now moved a little bit into the estimating business. Last year, we acquired a company called Sightlines, which does facility assessment. So we've kind of moved into that realm. But really, most of the company is most heavily focused on job order contracting. It is, for us, not just a business, but a mission. We really believe we can make government more efficient, or at least one corner of government more efficient, by promoting job order contracting. And frankly, that's why we started the Harry Mellon Award, as a way to celebrate the good work that we saw being done around the country. It is our industry's highest honor, and it's really designed to recognize facility owners, contractors, and anybody else involved in the projects that we've been engaged in. And really, as I say, it's about celebrating excellence. This year, we had a lot of submissions, and our submissions tend to come from facility owners, contractors, and other consultants in the job order contracting world who see a cool project. It's often a cool project. And they think this is one, there's something special about this one. This year's submissions included a school playground project, a lighthouse rehabilitation, a data center fit out. I mean, these are all very different kinds of projects. All were kind of cool in one way or another. A university music atrium renovation, a school addition, a transit station addition, a boiler upgrade. And that doesn't sound very sexy to me. Apparently there was something really cool about this boiler upgrade. A mill restoration, and some of you like this one, a golf course bridge repair project. You know? And you know, I get to read the submissions, and they are all, you know, very cool. The projects are judged by a panel of experts in the field, people we recruit. It's not judged by Gordian, judged by people we recruit, including past award winners. So as people who are about to become award winners, next year you will be invited to judge projects that are outside of this region. You're not allowed to judge projects in your region. But we will ask you, if you don't mind, both actually contractor and owner, we will ask you to take a look at the projects and give us your opinion about which were the most excellent. Which were
I have to disclose I have an affinity for boilers.
Boilers, well, there you go. I will spread the word that boilers are favored. Every year there are 6 awards. 5 are Award of Merit winners. They tend to be one in each of our regions, of the regions of the country. But there's only one project that we recognize as the Award of Excellence winner each year. It is really an honor for us to be recognizing this emergency roadway repair project. All of you who are involved in it, I hope you feel, I hope you really understand how special what you've accomplished is. I want to bring Dave Velarde up, my colleague, who'll tell you a little bit more about the project and present the award.
Well, again, my name is David Velarde. I'm the Mountain Director. I've been doing job order contracting for about as long as it's been in existence. And I worked as a contractor with a company by the name of Roy Jorgensen Associates that helped Harry start in 1990. But I was here at in Tucson at Davis Mountain Air Force Base. So as someone that has lived in Arizona in the desert Southwest can really appreciate what summer monsoons can bring on, right? Oh, yeah. But we also can understand the devastation that they can put upon a community and how quickly they can do it. So, you know, every summer we kind of pray for the pressure systems to move east or west so that we can get a little bit of Gulf flow and get some relief and get some rain. And then, of course, we see what can happen. So last night, Mike Shiplett, who unfortunately couldn't be here because he got sick, but last night he and I were talking about how equipment companies that you guys know all about, the big earth moving equipment, spend billions of dollars on development on how to move earth and equipment. And Mother Nature can do it in 15 minutes and move these tons and tons and tons of rocks. So heavy equipment is just one of the dance partners required to pull off this project. People were needed to operate the equipment. People were needed to devise a plan of attack. When US 89 is a very important highway, and with it closed, medical personnel couldn't get to where they needed, groceries couldn't get delivered. So it was a very vital artery that had to be corrected. And how do you do that? And how do you do it quickly? After the rain stopped, ADOT had to act and had to act fast. So this happened on a Friday, and by Monday, SJ Anderson was already mobilized, ready to go to work. SJ Anderson, our honorary this afternoon, has positioned themselves over the last several years to be one of those contractors that can count on when a project needs to get done. So as regional manager, I got to come back to Arizona to start this process and this product with the state of Arizona, the purchasing department. And SJ Anderson was one of the successful contractors. And when they first bid JOC, they didn't even know how to spell it. And we really took them under the wing, and the way JOC works best is using local contractors that can respond fast, have a commitment to the community. They're certainly a company that has done hundreds of jobs all over the state and has done them successfully. When it has to come to a contractor that they have to depend on, they always call SJ Anderson. So the nice thing about job order contracting is you always have to go back to the catalog of pricing, and you're only paying for what you do. So if it's 10 tons, it's 10 tons, and that's what you pay to get removed. On this particular project, it started off one way, and there was another event, and you got more that you had to move. So there was no change order. All you did was go to the scope of work and say, now you have to move this much dirt, and you go right to the book, and it was the price of the dirt times the quantity times your coefficient, and that's what the state had to pay. Contractors reside all over the state, and John knew that in order to swiftly complete this project, the key to success would be the contractors from the area. He also knew that he was going to have to find several. As anyone who has worked in construction, contracting knows, good contractors are hard to find. They are hard to find because the good ones are always busy, right? The good ones have their heads buried in their work, and the good ones usually come at a premium price. John had a tough task of finding high-quality subcontractors and ones that would work within his budget. Once John had identified the potential subcontractor base, the work began and it got put together. In slightly less than 20 miles, there were 7 sites, 1.6 million in damage, replaced 7,000 cubic yards of soil, required hundreds of cubic yards of new concrete to be poured. And all of this had to be done one lane at a time so the critical supplies and materials could flow to the Navajo Nation up to Page and remain constantly passable for emergency personnel. Given the magnitude of one storm event, it took the skills of the seasoned general contractor to repair the damage. SJ Anderson stepped up to the plate. So with that, I would like to award John, come on up, and Scott, both of you. No, come up here. I know you don't want to come up here. You got to come up here. So John told me earlier that he didn't want to get up here and do it, so we have to call him up. So what we'd like to do is award you the Award of Excellence for the US 89A House Rock Flash Flood. Proudly display this. Thank you for all the work you do.
Oh, thank you.
And here you go.
Oh.
Proudly display that. So you got Glenn. Make sure you got pictures from Glenn. Thank you. You want to say a few things?
Well,
Come on, you got to say something now.
John does all the horizontal stuff, and I do all the vertical stuff. So I do a lot of work for you guys. You know, it's just not as glamorous as moving big boulders. I'm currently raising your canopy down on Hilton, so I don't think I'm going to get an award for that. But you know, John told me all about the job, and you know, technically, you know, John ran it, and the subs were great. ADOT was great, and JLC, you know, we got it done. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Audra, Kurt or Curtis? Kurt, with a bolo tie.
It's better easy.
And Chad, please come up. So as the member agency that had the project, we'd like to award you with the Award of Excellence, again for US 89A. This is the project team, and certainly it was a pleasure to work with you all. I hope we get to work with you again, maybe not in such stressful situations, but if it happens that way, to be that, we certainly can help you out. So thank you very much, and congratulations. So if you'd like, oh, sure. I need, there you go.
Thanks.
Okay, and I think you're up next to speak.
So anyway, just a little bit about the event itself. The event happened August 9th, 2015. I think we heard that already. 3:30 in the afternoon, we had a TOC, which is a Traffic Operations Center alert, come across, and there was flooding on US 89A. That quickly turned into about a 14-mile closure with a bunch of sites, site locations where it was flooding over the roadway. And up in northern Arizona, you know, we get flash floods, we get topping of the road, but we don't get 15-foot boulders. We weren't expecting the 15-foot boulders in the road. We weren't expecting to see what we saw. We had 6 maintenance units at the time, and we had 3 initially respond. Primarily, Page came down and attacked it from the east side. Fredonia came down and attacked it from the west side. And then we had Gray Mountain, who was on 89. We pushed them up to come help. Eventually, at some point in time, we had 5 out of our 6 maintenance units working on this. We did have 2 vehicles that were initially stranded. Our maintenance crews worked through the evening hours, pulling from the ends, trying to get those vehicles out. We didn't have any injuries, so that's always good. But it didn't take us long to realize that we were going to need more help. As stated earlier, we don't have the equipment to move those 15-foot boulders, although our maintenance crews did have a lot of fun boulder blasting, which I witnessed. We did get to play with some new toys. Yeah, boulder blasting. And we were good at boulder blasting in the road, but we got a little nervous with boulder blasting when we had the 15-foot boulders at the entry to the box culvert. We didn't think that was such a good idea. So 3 days after the event, SJ Anderson had mobbed Rummel Construction out there. We've worked with Rummel in the past, basically on the landslide projects and the N20, so on and so forth, and they're a great sub to work with, as well as SJ Anderson. And they had that done in 24 hours, maybe, roughly, give or take. So we initially had the 2-phase approach to this when it first came out. It was really to protect and assess the site, was phase 1, and phase 2 was to perform that permanent fix. So to protect and provide that assessment really was get 1 lane of traffic open. We really wanted to establish that traffic as soon as we can. That was one of our primary focuses. But then protect the existing roadway, because our drainage features coming towards the roadway were all impacted. We had boulders at our boxes and pipes, and our drainage ways were damaged. So our maintenance crews did an excellent job, especially one specific evening when we got 1 lane of traffic open before Rummel and SJ Anderson were out there on that 3-day mark. And they worked through the nights in creating new trenches, trying to get water to move out of the area just to get through the evening, to give you some idea what we were doing. We were also kind of challenged because we were having a hard time finding lodging for our employees with that season up in Page. And I see some nods, and you guys probably had the same issue. Our tourism up north is seasonal, so there's times of year where we have trouble getting housing when things like this happen. So we can mob forces pretty quickly, but then we can't house them. And so we always have that issue. So we had people driving back and forth. There was rumors, I never actually got them confirmed if someone actually slept in a vehicle or if someone opened up their house to allow, I'm seeing nods. Patricia, someone opened up their house to allow workers to stay there. And so that's the kind of stuff that we did as a team just within ADOT and within the district. 3 days after the event, we activated that first JOC, and 3 days after the event, we had SJ Anderson and Rummel Construction out there. Like I said, they finished that within 24 hours. After that period of time, we did open up the road to 2 lanes, but we were unable to do it at the box locations because we had damage at the boxes. We did work 1 box and we were able to squeeze 2 traffic lines through, but the other box had to wait a little bit because there was too much damage to it. And then we activated that second, we assessed the damage, wrote the scope of work, and got the second JOC. And we had SJ Anderson and Vasco out there on September 18th, and within a month they were done. So a special thanks to everyone involved in it. The director and the state engineer's office for your continued support with all of our emergencies up there in the North Central District. FHWA, you guys have been great partners. Ammon, we couldn't have done it without you. We had several phone calls, excuse me, with Ammon, dialing things in, making sure that we were crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and we're able to get that federal funding. Gordian, SJ Anderson, Rummel, Vasco, all of you, there's no way we could have done it without you. We didn't have the equipment, obviously, to make all this happen. I got to find everyone here. Chad Ocker, he's the assistant district engineer. Kurt Harris, the maintenance engineer. These guys really worked on the JOC contract itself and writing up the scope of work, working with ADOT Bridge. And we thank you to them. We had them up there looking at the box culverts. Tom Eckler. Tom Eckler is our superintendent, and he's our mastermind of moving our resources. And sometimes he might get tired of us, but he's really good at moving resources, and we appreciate everything you do. Tom's one of those employees where you call and he'll answer always. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. Shane Parrish and John Nichols. I'm losing John. Shane Parrish is here in the red shirt. Oh, sorry, John's right there in front of me. Shane and John are actually construction inspectors. And what we do a lot up in our district is when we have disasters, we tend to pull everybody. Any place we can find that expertise, we pull on it. And we used our construction inspectors to help with the inspection of the JOC contract, partly because they had that experience and partly to relieve our maintenance workers. And then we have 2 representatives from Page Maintenance, Patricia Bighorse and Bancroft. And they actually traveled from the city of Page today to be down here to be a part of this, which is great. They're representing the Page org and also the Fredonia org in Gray Mountain, and I'll put you in charge of everybody else as well. One quick thank you then too to Rob Nelson. Rob Nelson is our environmental coordinator. And we used Rob Nelson to help us navigate those areas of the environmental aspect of it where we didn't want to get ourselves into trouble, and he couldn't be here today. But we thank him as well. And that's all I had. Thanks.
Job well done. Thank you to our contractor partner. Ammon, when we've done some of these projects, I want to thank you. You don't just look at what we've asked for. You challenge us, hey, you can do a little more, or we can help you a little more. So thank you for that, because on both this one and the landslide, you've challenged us, and we've got quick turnaround for those fundings. Thank you very much for this award. I think I like it that you've challenged us to look for new ways of doing things. And sometimes in government, we need to be challenged to see that innovation. So thank you very much. I believe there's refreshments. I know there is. Look at the cakes. It's kind of neat. It has a picture of the event. And mingle around, get to know someone you don't know. But thank you very much for joining us. For those of you who didn't know, they didn't say where they were from. Came in from New York and Dallas, Texas. So it isn't just across the parking lot to come in here. We really appreciate you coming in and giving this honor to us. Thank you. All right, that's it.